Hi everyone, good morning. I hope you're having a great Sunday. Well, today's session is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to talk about any specific health topic. We're not going to speak about any specific exercise or fitness regime. What I want to talk about is a concept of holistic living. I want to talk about holistic health. Okay, now when we talk about holistic health today, what I talk about is a new mindset that we need to start, looking at. Where I'm talking about a new mindset when it comes to healing and prevention. Because when you look around us today, disease isn't getting better in any way. The statistics when it comes to thyroid, cancer, diabetes, it's only increasing. Now, when I talk about holistic health and holistic living today, this session is going to go on for maybe 30 to 40 minutes because we're going to look at this being a discussion and answering a couple of questions as well. But firstly, I want to lay the ground for this entire talk and, upfront tell you that, what we're talking about isn't a substitute for your medical treatment. This is not meant to put doctors down or medicine down or pharmaceuticals down. None of that. Absolutely none of that. This is today a session to make you change your mindset and make you think and make you start using common sense, which all of us have stopped using, and all of us have it. Believe me, we have it. But it's been covered by layers and layers and layers of things that we constantly read about, we constantly see in the media. There's a lot of this advertising that misleads us and makes us believe that certain products, certain methods, certain things are the right way, and then over time we realize that it just doesn't happen that way. It's completely wrong, and we just continue never to heal or get better. So I'll start off with a little story. If you've ever noticed a baby elephant, if you see a baby elephant, they put this chain around 1 foot of the baby elephant. So every time the baby elephant grows up and tries to move, the chain pulls the elephant back. And the baby elephant goes on trying, and after a while, as they're growing, they just stop trying because they believe that that chain is going to hold them in place. Now, the same baby elephant grows into a fully grown elephant. And if you go to zoos or you go to any of these elephant camps around the world, you'll find, it looks really funny, you'll find a full-grown elephant has that chain around one leg. Now, you and I both know that that chain is not enough to hold that elephant in place if he wants to escape. All he needs to do is snap his foot and break that chain and he can escape. But all the elephant trainers know that the elephant is not going to do that, because from the time the elephant was a small baby, his or her mindset is that that chain holds him or her in place. And they grow up with that mindset, never knowing the immense potential and power and energy they have to just snap that chain and be free if they want to. That mindset that they have are one of many mindsets that we as human beings grow up with. From the time we're children to the time we're adults, we grow up with these mindsets and ideals and beliefs that things are a certain way. For example, we grow up with the mindset that certain medications have to be for a lifetime. We grow up with the mindset that we're not good enough. We grow up with the mindset that, to be successful, it's all about having material things and money. Each and every one of us have different mindsets, and it's not our fault. It's what we've constantly built over the years because, of the company that we're involved with, the people who surround us, and like I said, media, magazines, everything around us. It's not our fault. But what's in our control and what's in our hand is identifying beliefs and mindsets that could be self-limiting to us, like that chain, something that could be holding us back because of a belief or a mindset that we have and we're stuck with. Like if you grow up and you're constantly told that you're not good enough, or you're constantly told that you're stupid or you're dumb or you'll never succeed, that's exactly the belief that you're going to grow up with. And that's going to be a self-limiting belief. Although you may be the most intelligent person, you have the most potential that other people didn't see in you, but you have it. But because you have a belief or you have a mindset, it becomes self-limiting and it holds you back. Now, when we look at holistic health and when we look at holistic living, it's an ecosystem. It's not just breathing and yoga and eating organic food and exercising and CrossFit. It's not about that. All of that falls into an ecosystem. When we talk about holistic, we treat the body and the mind as a whole. So you may spell holistic as HOLISTIC, or you can look at it as WHOLEISTIC, holistic. And what happens is you look at your life, you look at your mind, you look at your thoughts, your emotions, your spirituality, your physical self. You look at it as a whole because we're products of nature, and you cannot break down and separate nature. But what happens today is we look at the body like a machine, like a car. Like there's an engine which may be the heart and the liver may be a filter and something like that. And we look at that specifically from one frame of spectacles, and which is why we only get into this process of a symptomatic approach, and we never get into understanding that everything in the human body and mind is connected. If there's depression, you have the gut involved. If there's diabetes, you have the kidney involved, and you have high blood pressure, and you have the pancreas. If there's the heart, you have inflammation, you have cholesterol, you have high blood pressure, you have stress. Everything's connected. If you come to cancer, it's multifactorial. There are so many little things that could have caused it and that are required to heal the body. But that's when you look at it holistically. But if you separate it like a machine or like a car, it just doesn't work that way. Everything in the human body is connected with nerves and cells and chemical messengers like hormones, and we got to create the environment in the human body that allows it to be healthy. We can't push it into good health. We can't punish the weight of your body. You can't undereat your way or overeat your way out of a problem or into a problem. You can't overthink or underthink and expect that your problem is going to be solved. Everything is connected. If you have good mental energy, your body will follow. You have good physical energy, your mind will follow. Everything is connected. So when you look at holistic, it's not about a band-aid approach. We have enough of those. It's not about searching for new coping mechanisms to deal with a bad day, a sad day, depression, a breakup, all of that stuff. It's none of that. It's not a coping mechanism. Now, I'm not saying a coping mechanism is bad for you. What are examples of coping mechanisms? It could be shopping, it could be drinking, it could be drugs, it could be smoking, it could be over-socializing, it could be oversleeping, it could be overeating. These are all different coping mechanisms. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing if you lose yourself amongst all of these things and you're constantly putting a band-aid over all the voids that you have in your life. Because no matter what happens, it's going to come up and come up and come up in you over and over again until you find a way to fill it and deal with it. Which is why today we also call spirituality. Most people are using spirituality as a bypass. They say, okay, the more meditation I do, the more calmer I'll be. The more yoga I do, the more yogic way of living I have. That's great. The thought is great. But unless we apply it and we learn to start even facing the sadness, the bad feelings, the emotional negativity, and not constantly try to push it away and cope with it, that's when we start evolving and that's when we start healing. The same thing with a physical problem. If our cholesterol keeps going up and we keep taking statins to bring it down, it doesn't mean we're healthy. It doesn't mean we're healthy. All it means is that there's a medication that is blocking the production of cholesterol in your body and giving you the right to go on eating what you want and go on with your sedentary life. Sooner or later, you know what's going to happen. There's going to be a side effect and there's going to be a new symptom that pops up. So, like I said, we're not against medication. Take the statin if you need it. Take your thyroid medication if you need it. The idea is get to the root cause. So when you look at the body holistically, when you look at any problem holistically, you look at sadness, you look at some emotion that you're facing, get to the root cause, because no matter how much you cover it up, it's going to keep on coming on and on again. And in this world today where we want instant quick fixes and instant gratification, that's what's spoiling the entire process of life and living. It's happening with our children, it's happening with adults as well, because we want quick fixes and we want instant gratification. So we don't know how to deal with boredom. We don't know how to deal with having a night alone by ourselves. We don't know how to deal with not going out for a week and socializing and just spending time with ourselves and doing something, learning a new skill. These are problems that we have, and this is not everyone, but this is most people. So when it comes to holistic health, it revolves around a paradigm of 4 verticals. Balanced nutrition. I say balanced because the human body and nature works on balance. It doesn't work on extremes. Now, there are some people who will need specifically extreme diets for specific problems, but we're talking in general today. We're looking at balance. Even an extreme diet has to be done in balance. And then, so we look at balanced nutrition because the body and cells work on balance, so you give it what it needs to stay in balance. You can, like I said, you can punish your body with strict diets and all of that stuff. Short term, not sustainable, you will have deficiencies. The second vertical is adequate exercise. Now note that I use the word adequate because there are too many people out there overtraining or undertraining, and both have problems in the human body. The body requires balance when it comes to exercise. So if you didn't sleep well last night or you've not been able to have a good meal before your workout, should you be working out? The answer is no. You should be respecting your body holistically. It needs rest and recovery. Just because it's on your to-do list to have a workout and to feel good that you had a workout, it doesn't mean it's the right thing for the human body. And then from adequate exercise, we move into quality sleep. Now, note that I use the word quality. I'm not talking about quantity, because too many people out there saying you need 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours or 9 hours. It doesn't matter. What matters is the quality of sleep. There are some people who sleep for 5 to 6 hours, deep quality sleep, and they wake up energetic. And there are some people who sleep for 8, 9, 10 hours and they wake up tired because they've had undisturbed sleeps and poor cycles of sleep. So you see, it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality and how much your body needs. A body that's more physically and mentally tired will need more rest and recovery. If you put your body through an intensive workout program, you will need more recovery. You can't define 5 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours and look at, the most famous people in the world and successful people in the world and imitate what their sleep cycle is. Because you don't know what their food habits are, you don't know how much of exercise, you don't know anything about their life. So what you see is superficial. What you're doing is only scratching the surface and trying to take the best out of everyone, thinking that if I sleep like this successful businessman, I'll be as successful as him. We equate success by imitating stupid things that people do. It may be great for them, but it's not good for you because your life is different, your body is different, your genetic makeup is different, everything is different. So that's where the common sense comes in, and that's where a holistic approach comes towards your life. So we don't look to see who's sleeping how much. You look to see how much of sleep your body requires, how much of sleep and recovery your mind requires. And then the fourth part of the vertical is basically something I like to call as emotional detoxification. See, we're all going to have stress, and stress is a good thing for us. It motivates us to be something. It makes us wake up in the morning and go through our day. Stress is good for us. It's also good for your immune system. The problem is chronic stress. The problem is the additional stress that goes up and stays up throughout the day, and then you have your emotional stress that you keep inside of you, and all of these problems together. Chronic stress is what messes up human health. Chronic stress is what creates inflammation in the body, and sometimes most people don't even need a diet plan or an exercise plan. All they need is to work out mentally. They need an exercise plan for their mind and their emotions. So the four verticals are balanced nutrition, adequate exercise, quality sleep, and emotional detoxification. Now, when you put all of these four things together, okay, that's when you create a platform of healing. You create a platform of potential, of prevention and well-being. Today we're looking for well-being. Everyone's just responding and reacting to life. Oh, I don't feel good, let me have a coffee. I don't feel good, let me socialize and eat some cupcakes and eat some whatever. No, the idea is how can we feel good from inside? Because when you start feeling good from inside, all of the cravings on the outside world slowly start disappearing. I give the simple example of people who have done dry fasting or intermittent fasting, or they go for a detox program and they clean up their entire body. The moment they finish this, for the next couple of days, they just don't get a craving for junk food or outside food. They just don't get that craving. It's natural, because a clean body will only crave things that are good for the body. But a body that has a lot of junk and hormonal imbalances, it will crave foods that it needs to feed the bad bacteria, which would be sugar and salt and everything else that is designed to addict us. So you need to understand, when you create a clean platform in the human body, you will automatically do away with cravings. And a cupcake here and there, or a samosa, or something that you truly like is not going to harm you when you eat it with the right mindset. So that is what holistic health is. And over the next couple of Sundays, we're going to break each of these into different verticals. We're going to talk about only holistic nutrition, then only holistic exercise, only holistic sleep, and holistic emotional detoxification. So what we're going to do is, right now, I'm just going to open up my page over here so I can see if any of you have any questions at this point. The first part of the whole journey is understanding your mindset. It is so important for you to understand, what is my mindset when it comes to my disease? What is my mindset when it comes to my suffering? What is my mindset when it comes to my exercise or why I'm unable to lose weight? And you'll find that most of them are self-limiting beliefs. First, you work with that, and then you have a plan which you can easily follow. Because if you get the plan, but you still have the self-limiting belief, it's not going to work for you. That's going to be a really big problem. So I have a question over here. Have been meeting many people these days whose blood sugar is high and doctors have put them on diabetic medications, though there is no other symptom of diabetes. What should be the course of action in such cases? Now, here's a simple example. If you are extremely stressed today, extremely stressed, your blood sugar levels will go up. If your stressor, for example, was work, you've had a really rough day with your boss at work or whatever it is, your blood sugar levels will be high, your cholesterol will be high. This automatically happens. It's the human body's natural response to stress. So now if you go the next day and get your blood sugar levels checked, it doesn't have to mean that you have diabetes. It could just mean that it is the stressor that caused your levels to go high. So which is why when you have a holistic approach towards even diabetes, like I'll say this, type 2 diabetes is reversible. Type 2 diabetes is caused due to poor lifestyle and environmental triggers. So when we identify these environmental triggers and our lifestyles that have led us up to having poor type 2 diabetes, it's very easy to start looking at reversing them. You know, you start looking at the inflammation in the pancreas. You start looking at the root cause. Why aren't my pancreas able to produce the right amount of insulin? Why are my cells behaving poorly that they cannot utilize the insulin that my pancreas produce? So, you know, you don't go into mangoes and fruits and all of that stuff. You get to the root cause and you understand the problem at a deeper level. So absolutely not. When you're living in a world of symptomatic, the doctor's not wrong. If he sees those are your high levels, as per their medical protocol, that's exactly what they'll do. But this is where you come in with a holistic approach and you understand that, hey, listen, I've had 5 stressful days. I've had lack of sleep. Do you know that lack of sleep can cause your sugar levels to rise the next morning? Now, does this mean you have diabetes? Or does this mean you have a poor lifestyle of sleep? And if you correct your sleep problems, your sugar levels can balance. So again, a holistic approach towards diabetes. And then there will be some people who genuinely have a problem. So that's why you cannot go away from the medical conventional way of treatment and diagnostics, but you got to play a pivotal role in the holistic approach of it. Ask the right questions, analyze your body, and don't have this blind faith that you put in anything, anyone for that matter, anyone. You look at yourself, you look at what's happening in your life, and then you'll always get a clue as to why you have a particular problem. Okay, I asked for vitamin D, which one to take, how long, and I obviously can't prescribe a vitamin D for you right now. You got to look at your level, you got to look at your deficiency, and then the next thing that you got to look at is supplementing it or making sure you get sunlight or whatever your thing is. And this is what I mean. Holistic health doesn't work this way where you have a deficiency and you ask someone, hey, prescribe a supplement for me. You want to look at why isn't my body holding on to vitamin D3? Why do my levels of B12 keep constantly falling? Maybe I have a gut problem. Synthesis of vitamin B12 happens in your gut. So if you have a problem with your gut, you're not absorbing B12 the right way. So I have a holistic approach to that. And then you take professional advice to understand how to combat that deficiency of vitamin D that you have. But it's a good point that you make, because vitamin D is extremely important for your health. Extremely important for your health. Not just your bones, but your immunity, your brain, your hormones, the production of cholesterol, all of these things. Suffering from recurring colds and congestion for the last 3 months, uncomfortable, eating right, exercising, taking immunity powder, what else can I do? So when you constantly have colds and congestion, you look at immunity. Why isn't my immune system able to break down mucus in my lungs? Why is my lungs producing more mucus, which is causing more congestion? So sometimes we think we're eating right. Are you overeating? Are you undereating? Sometimes you may not need to exercise too much. Maybe you need to get into a little bit of yoga and inversions that loosen up the congestion in your chest. There are so many things that you do. An immunity powder may really help. Sometimes it's only rest. So many people today don't rest enough or sleep enough. And like I said, you can be eating the healthiest food, working out, but your immunity, everything changes while you sleep. So even if you have 2 or 3 hours less of sleep, you wake up with poor immunity. So you can have the best body, but you have low immunity, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you get a cold or a cough or congestion. So you got to look at your sleep as well, because healing happens while you sleep, not while you're awake. The healing happens while you sleep, which is why it's so important for people who are especially sick to make sure that they get adequate amount of rest and sleep as well. How do we do emotional detox meditation? Like I said, for some people it may be meditation, but again, today meditation is becoming a spiritual bypass for everyone. They think by just meditating, their problems are going to go away. Meditation is great for you when it comes to emotional detoxification. But what you got to understand is, are you applying what you learn during your meditation? What are you learning from your meditation? Most people meditate to try and silence the mind. Meditation is not silencing your mind. Meditation is focusing on your breath, coming back to your breath, so that eventually what's going to happen is your thoughts are going to become lesser and lesser. You don't try to force your thoughts out of your mind. And as that calm sets in, you begin to look inside of yourself and understand things about yourself, why you do certain things, why you behave in certain ways. And that's when we start applying what we learn in real life. If you don't apply what you learn during your meditation or yoga in real life, it's useless. It's like people going for a Pilates class and learning posture, but then they go back to office and they're all slouched and they're sitting on the TV, on sofas with their legs up and, not maintaining posture. Your Pilates class is practically useless because you're learning something, but you're not applying it. So likewise with spirituality, what you keep reading, we all love reading spiritual quotes and listening to spiritual talks. It's a waste of time if you don't apply it to your life. So if you've heard about acceptance today, or you've learned about letting go, or you've learned about, staying in the present moment, how often are you practicing it? It takes you months and months and years of practice to finally become good at practicing all of these things. But if we're not practicing, it only becomes something superficial on our to-do list to do every single day. So when it comes to emotional detoxification, it could be meditation for some, it could be prayer, it could be doing something that you love, a hobby, listening to your music, it could be spending quality time with a loved one. That's meditation in a way as well. Anything that keeps you focused in the present moment. For some people, it's a game of football. So if you can play a game of football for 1 hour without thinking about anything, but that your mind is on that game, or your mind is on the baking that you're doing, that's meditation as well. So we don't have to confuse it, like I said, with a mindset that we believe where we got to light a candle, sit cross-legged, and meditate. It doesn't have to be that way, because there are so many people who meditate and there are so many people who don't act as though they meditate. So it's doing something that suits your body and that is right for you. Please tell me the supplement for B12 and D3. Obviously, I'm not going to tell that to you, because number one is, do you have a deficiency? Number two, okay, why do you have a deficiency? Get to the root cause. You can't just go on popping supplements all the time. There are various supplements for B12 and D3 available in the market. Get to the root cause. When you start thinking holistically, that's what really makes a big difference. Is it okay to take medication for hypothyroidism at night after dinner? It depends on the medication that your doctor has given you and his instructions. Okay, what works for you may be different for someone else. So you please ask your doctor. Usually it's taken on an empty stomach when you wake up in the morning. But if your doctor has a particular reason for you to take it at another time, that's the time that you should take it. PCOD makes it so hard for me to lose weight. No, your lifestyle makes it hard for you to lose weight. The very fact that you have PCOD means you have a hormonal imbalance. Now, hormonal imbalances are caused because of poor lifestyle. Either the lack of sleep, or too much of sugar, or junk food, or too much of emotional stress. So it's not your PCOD, it's your lifestyle. There are so many people who reverse their PCOD by only changing their lifestyle. And then there's a whole other population who believes that they need to be on birth control pills, hormone replacement therapies, and other drugs, which is only masking the symptom and never making you better, or never telling you that, hey, listen, let me get to the root cause, fix that lifestyle issue I have, and then get my hormones in balance and get rid of all the problems that I have. How can you detox yourself mentally? We just spoke about that right now. If one has a deficiency, how to choose supplements like iron, B12, D3. Yeah, there are a lot of supplements in the market. I usually encourage people to go for supplements which are not synthetic in nature. You have synthetically produced supplements, and then you have plant-based supplements. Of course, there's a difference in cost, but I always believe if you want to put quality in the human body. So you want to make sure that you have vegetarian capsules, over things which are synthetic and that cause more issues in the human body. You want to look for good brands. You want to look for the ingredient list. You always want to read the ingredient list and see how many additional chemicals are filled in a simple vitamin. And then most pharmaceutical grade over-the-counter vitamins also go through stringent auditing and quality, so they're usually good enough and you don't have to spend too much of money on fancy supplements, basically. I want to get rid of thyroid and PCOD. So we already have videos on PCOD and thyroid in detail. And yes, I promise you, there are very few people who may never be able to get over thyroid medication, but most people can. And when it comes to thyroid, you want to make sure, do you have a thyroid problem, or do you have Hashimoto's thyroid, which is an autoimmune problem? Because if your thyroid is caused because of autoimmune, your focus has to be on healing your gut, healing the autoimmune part of your body, and then your thyroid gland can get better. And if it's just a thyroid problem and not autoimmune, then what you can do is focus on activating an underactive thyroid gland, which is usually done through lifestyle. When it comes to thyroid, and most of my experience, it again connects to stress. Because if you understand, if you're constantly producing cortisol, which is a stress hormone, the more elevated cortisol goes up, automatically the body starts producing less thyroxine. And we need to understand what's the function of the thyroid gland. Understand this very, very clearly. When you go back to evolution, Okay, when you go back to famine and winters and long periods when man didn't have food, okay, to prevent a person from getting hungry all the time, automatically the thyroid gland slows down. It controls metabolism. So when the thyroid gland starts slowing down, you automatically start putting on a little bit of weight. That's storage. That's the natural defense mechanism of the body to store food, because you don't know how long the famine is going to last. So when we go through these fad diets that restrict us from calories, when we deprive ourselves, the human body immediately thinks it's going into famine mode, and it automatically starts slowing down your thyroid gland. How does it start slowing down your thyroid gland? By playing around with the production of thyroxine, which either shows up as a deficiency in our report or too much. When you're moving through life too quickly and the human body has to slow down, it doesn't care what your goals are, it needs to slow down for rest. If you're not slowing down your body, your thyroid will slow you down by controlling the amount of thyroxine it produces, which is why the thyroid gland has a huge connection in most cases with stress. And then, of course, food habits and too much of junk, all of that. But you can't just blame it on junk all the time. A lot of it has to do with, why is my body slowing down? And you'll find in most cases, people who move too fast, sometimes the body has to slow you down two ways: by making you sick or by creating pain. That's the way the human body can slow you down. So, we have to think holistically when it even comes to thyroid and stuff like that. I'm comfortable with my weight, but I want to feel healthy mentally and physically. So that's where you have a holistic approach, mind, body. You can have the fittest body, you can have a six-pack, size 0, although that doesn't really define how fit you are. But if you're mentally depressed, or you have emotional issues, or you're filled with negative feelings of, jealousy or anger or resentment or unforgiveness, you cannot feel healthy in body and mind. You've got to make both of them work together. So one day you physically train the body, the second day you mentally train the body, or maybe you can do a little bit of both every single day. You have your meditation practice in the morning, you have your physical workout in the evening. Figure it out. Make sure it works in your program according to your time. How much does hereditary play a role in getting health problems that run in the family? So it is true that certain genes can replicate in family generations, but there's one thing that I want to clear. Everyone has good genes and bad genes. And these good genes and bad genes are housed in a particular environment in our body. Okay, a bad gene needs a very strong trigger to manifest itself into possible diabetes or cancer or whatever it is. And there are some people, again, very few people, who will genetically get a disease because that gene presence in their body is so strong. So all of us have good genes and bad genes. I'll give you a simple example of a family where balding in the father, okay, it may happen to one of the sons, but there are two other sons where the balding doesn't happen at all. Okay, the genes exist in everyone. But it is your lifestyle that can trigger the bad gene. So it means it still puts you in control. I can't tell you how many people I come across who assume that they're going to get diabetes or heart problems because their parents have it. Now you've got to change your mindset, because it is going to happen if you believe that. Yes, there is a potential. It is possibly, and it may happen in your family. That's a possibility. So now you got to put in more effort in your lifestyle and your eating habits and your sleep and everything that we spoke about to make sure that you create an environment that doesn't allow that gene to manifest itself. You see, a lot of it is in our control. Whether it's God you believe in or the universe, He made a system which is intelligent and brilliant. And we as human beings, we've compromised it. We've been arrogantly thinking that we are smarter than it. So we flood ourselves with chemicals and all of these things, thinking that, we're going to get better than the human body. But yet, no scientist in the world, no doctor, no nutritionist has yet been able to, become more intelligent than immunity, the brain, and certain, functionalities in the human body. And that gives us hope as human beings to have something to put faith into, our own bodies, our own brilliance, and intelligence to either heal or prevent. So hereditary is not an excuse. We just got to be more careful and work harder. All right, what does stark white spot on the nails of a 12-year-old girl mean? It could be a deficiency of calcium. Sometimes it could be turmeric. Not a deficiency of turmeric. It could be calcium. It could be D3. And sometimes it could be even iron. So you may want to check those deficiencies as well. High BP in our country, again. If you've gone through extreme stress and you go tomorrow morning and you get your BP checked, it's going to be high. Okay? So if you've had stress in your life now, do you really require a BP medication for a long time? Yes, if your stress levels are not going to come down, you're likely put onto a BP medication because you'd rather protect your heart and the onset of a stroke. But Again, it comes down to lifestyle, the kind of salt that you're eating, the quality of salt, the quantity of salt. There is so much of hidden salt in so many things that we eat. So, all that cumulative buildup of salt creates high blood pressure, the stress that we go through, the lack of sleep that we go through, inactivity and sedentary lifestyles, poor circulation in the body. So again, BP is something that we can manage. And I can't tell you how many people have been on BP medication for 25 to 30 years. And in that 25 to 30 years, they've probably seen the doctor twice to revise their medication because they believe that they need to be on that medication for a lifetime. Well, you should also know that the potential side effects of your BP medication is diabetes and kidney problems. So, when we start knowing these things and we start getting a little more serious and realize, hey, listen, I'm 30 years old, I'm 45 years old, I don't need BP medication. What's going wrong in my life? Why can't I handle stress the right way? And that's when we start making changes. So any blood test for pancreas or for diabetes, there are several normal blood tests that you can do, your sugar levels, pre, post fasting. You can look at inflammation levels, phosphate levels to tell you about inflammation in your pancreas as well. So what we're going to do right now is, let me look and see if I have any more questions. I have an ovarian cyst. Why does it occur? Now you need to understand that the body produces cysts and fibroids and polyps when there's something wrong at a cellular level. It's the natural defense mechanism of the body to protect you. But if this cyst constantly grows in your ovaries, some of them are fed with estrogen because we have a hormonal imbalance. Like, in a breast cancer, which is ER positive, the lump or the tumor grows more and more because of the estrogen dominance. So that's a hormone that's feeding it. So it's very, very important to look at your hormonal health when it comes to all of these things. And especially women who have fibroids and ovaries and all of these issues, you want to look a lot at your emotional health. Not ignoring your physical health as well, but a lot to do with your emotional health as well. My mom is 65 and has BP and arthritis, and she's on medicine since a very long time. Can she take lemon ginger water on a daily basis? If she's on so many medications, I think you can blindly do lemon and ginger water without having to worry. What you really got to worry about is why she's on medication for so long. That's something that you got to worry more about than what nature's given you in the form of lemon and ginger. I'm having hair fall. Can you suggest a remedy and what could be the reason? Now, in holistic health, when the hair falls, it could be many things to us. It could be a deficiency. It could be, yes, lack of sleep. It could be lack of protein in the human body. It could be too much of stress as well. So, you need to introspect your life and see what it is. Just taking fancy shampoos and creams on your hair, it's never going to work. It's probably going to make your hair look a little bit better in your next selfie. But what's going to happen is, when it comes to hair and skin, it's an inside-out approach. For the plant to look good, it depends on what you feed the roots, what you put in the soil. The same thing, external beauty in man and woman results and depends on what you feed the body, what you put inside, what reaches your cells. So if your cells are getting the right amount of nutrition and oxygen, you shouldn't be having a hair problem. It could also be deficiencies of certain vitamins and minerals in your body as well. Hi Luke, my kid is 3.2 years old and frequently gets cold and cough. So again, you got to look at immunity. You got to look if your child has been subjected to a lot of antibiotics, because giving young children antibiotics may be necessary, but if we're not doing it the right way and not giving them sufficient probiotics to replenish their bacteria, we destroy their immunity for a long, long time. So we want to make sure, again, with children, immunity drops when you feed them more junk and sugar. The more sugar you feed a child, the lesser immunity you create for them. And then that's why today, what's so rampant? Food allergies, asthma that suddenly hits them, sinus. We're putting our children, we're creating problems for them. We're creating suffering for them because we believe that giving them sugar and junk and aerated drinks is okay. That's compromising immunity in their own body. So you got to understand, immunity is also holistic. It is also holistic. Look at their sleep, look at their activity. Most importantly, look at their food and the medication that they're on as well. Body temperature falls, sometimes causing low energy, going through menopause. So menopause is also a hormonal shift that happens in the human body. And sometimes you'll find women at this age working out harder and harder and harder, raising their cortisol levels, because yes, some women do tend to put on abdominal fat in the region when the process of menopause is happening, which is why I encourage all young women if you have the ability and the motivation to work out, now is the time that you look at getting into shape. I'm not talking about a size 0 figure. I'm talking about trying to lose a little bit of abdominal fat at a time, because as you age, it becomes more and more difficult for you. I'm not saying that you need to do this for a cosmetic, aesthetic look or to fit into society. I'm saying to do it for yourself, because the older you get, your body is changing. There is a hormonal change. Some hormones are not as much as they used to be when you were younger. And what happens then is you struggle. And when you struggle, there's desperation and frustration, and we look out more for quick fixes and all of these things. So we start punishing our bodies with more exercise, creating a bigger hormonal imbalance. So, that's why I always say the mindset that you have, how do you want to look and feel 15 years from today, 10 years from today, 5 years from there? That vision has to be so clear in your mind. So once you have that vision set in your mind with the right intention, then you can put a plan. A simple plan that doesn't require you to deprive yourself of life and living. You can achieve that perfect body having a dessert once in a way, missing a workout once in a way, traveling without having to diet all the time, socializing without having to diet all the time. That's not living if you're doing that. A plan has to be that simple when it's backed with a great vision and a great intention as well. Okay. I have a question about a mucus problem. My brother has sinus. It's a mucus problem. Every month he gets a severe cough. So we've done a video on mucus. You may want to watch that because it's a vast topic and there are different ways to break down mucus. We have more mucus when we have more acid in the human body. So a very acidic body can create a lot more mucus. At the same time, if we have very sedentary lifestyle, then we're not breathing the right way. Our lungs, it's a platform for respiration, oxygen exchange and carbon dioxide exchange. The more we breathe, the right way that we breathe, which is why pranayama is such a powerful drug for human health. It is so powerful because it trains our lungs how to utilize oxygen the right way. Because right now, if I ask each and every one of you watching this video, how well are you breathing? Are you breathing to your full capacity? The answer will be no. We are engaged in shallow breathing. And now you probably took a deep breath. And that's exactly how much of oxygen trillions of cells in the human body require. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is end the session, and I'm going to see you next Sunday. If I'm not traveling, if I'm traveling, it'll be another day in the week. But thanks for all of your time. I think the takeaway for today's session that I want to have for you is your mindset. First, change your mindset when it comes to life. How you feel about health, how you feel about love, how you feel about relationships, how you feel about work, your passion. What is your mindset? What is it that you really truly want? That's all that matters. Like I said, if you don't find it out for yourself, if you don't know your own self-worth, someone else is going to tag you with that worth, which is not yours but theirs. So it's very important for everyone to know what their mindset is, what their beliefs are, and what their self-limiting beliefs are. Everyone has self-limiting beliefs. It's a good thing to be aware of them, because that's the only time then once you're aware of them, you can start addressing them and breaking them and crushing them slowly, 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 slowly. I'll give you the simple example of someone I met yesterday, stuck in the corporate world for years and years with the mind of an entrepreneur. But the only thing holding him back and keeping him in his corporate job is what's been created in his mind. He's fixed that, if I become a CEO of this company, I will have so many benefits. But he doesn't know that he's got a brilliant entrepreneurial brain where he can become the CEO of his own company tomorrow. What does he need to do? Shift of mindset. It's as simple as that. When you decide to change your health physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, and mentally, when you decide to, it's going to start happening from right then. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.